How's it going, people? Today we've got some Graves jungle. Our guy here is in gold rank. So, jungle isn't something that I would like to cover too often, just because it's not a role that I've got the most amount of experience in. I'm not too much of a jungle player, so I don't want to give anybody bad advice. But I played lots of jungles, I played lots of Graves jungle in the past. I'm fairly familiar with this playstyle. So, and it's gold rating, so there should be a fair amount of things we can improve upon here. So, let's just see how it goes. Worth noting, our guy here... Okay, that was a miss, never mind that one. Our guy started with Ignite, which means he'll be quite a strong duelist. I'm not too familiar with the Graves Master Yi matchup, so I can't really say whether you can invade and challenge him with Ignite. You'll have to tell me yourself, to be honest. Okay, yeah, with Graves you can actually kite a lot better, so, as you see with your auto attacks, Graves does actually knock people back as he autos them, so what you kind of want to be doing is like dragging this camp around, like this, using your auto attacks to generate space between yourself and the red buff, so it should mean you have a lot more HP, and it might actually mean you don't have to use Smite here. So, yeah, just look up... I would recommend perhaps watching like some Korean Challenger Graves junglers, and you'll just get a feel for how it is they go around kiting camps. You can watch PC League of Legends gameplay for this, it really doesn't matter. But the most important thing to remember with Graves is that your primary focus is efficiency. Graves is more of a farming jungler. He wants to generate massive CS leads over the enemy jungler in the most efficient, most consistent way possible. Okay, now this is a bit pointless. There is no way you can gank Akali at level 2, at level 3. It's just not possible. At level 3, Akali is just going to drop a shroud and walk away. Or, even if a shroud is on cooldown, she's just going to use her shuriken flip to just dash away. There's no way you're going to kill this Akali. Your looks would have... Unless the Akali didn't have flash, your looks could perhaps go for a flash binding, but generally, like I said, the name of the game with Graves is to be as efficient as possible. I wouldn't really recommend ganking in the early game unless there's a very, very obvious opportunity to do so. Because you really need to just make sure you're farming, power farming. You need to get to your first item quickly. Like I said, Graves' kit is not particularly suited for ganking. He doesn't have any crowd control apart from his smoke screen. He just does damage. That's all. That's what Graves is for, You dash into an enemy carry, you one combo them, you hit their ultimate, and if you have Ghost Blade and Red Smite, you can do lots of damage. So typically with Graves you might go for a full clear, you might kill all of your jungle camps, go and get a Scuttle Crab, base, go and get the second Scuttle Crab, or, or go for an invade depending on the matchup. Of course you can't realistically get both Scuttle Crabs. I have to say though, because you're against a Yi this game, I don't really know if Graves is good against Yi, because you both want to farm, but I don't know if Yi's actually does more damage at level 5, level 6. This I honestly don't know. But I wouldn't imagine Graves is the best pick into Yi, because Yi also wants to farm, so the idea is if you're playing against a Yi, pick something which has a lot of early ganking pressure. Now you don't want to be ganking here because your wolves are up. Like I said, right, there's no way you can get a kill on this Akali. She's just going to shroud or flip away. There's nothing you can do. You've got this camp, you've got your wolves, you've got your raptors, you've got you've got the Krugs here, and you can also go down and check to see whether this Scuttle Crab is actually up, because taking Scuttle Crabs to the jungler is very important, because these are neutral objectives that, if you can seize, you're basically taking gold for yourself and denying it from the enemy. This is very important when you play jungle. The jungler is arguably the most impactful role in the game. Generally speaking, if your jungler gets ahead, or their jungler gets behind, that decides, generally speaking, on what's actually going to happen in the game. A fed jungler and a head jungler can go to objectives first. They can pressure objectives with a lot more force, and they're generally the ones that have the biggest deciding say in what happens. So instead of going for these two ganks here, maybe your duo queue with this looks, but just look, nothing's going to happen. There's nothing you can do here. You need to be efficient, super efficient. Every single moment you're on the map, you have to be doing something which is giving you gold. The name of your game is just to get as much gold as possible, get to your items, and then pressure objectives. So look, the first dragon here is okay. Maybe you can get. Okay, yeah, that's it. Just go and get Krugs. So, just for anybody watching this, just a quick overview. The first dragon here is Infernal. So you're picking Graves. Graves is a farming jungler, like I say. He wants to farm and get his first item and pressure objectives with as much gold as possible to maximize his chances of securing that objective and winning the first dragon fight. Now, because the first dragon is an Infernal, that's the most powerful dragon outside of the Elder Dragons, it's very important that you secure this. It's very important that everybody in the team is available to fight when this dragon respawns. So in the eyes of a Graves, your thinking process should be, I need to make sure I have the best possible chance of winning a fight and securing a dragon around the time when the dragon's respawning. So you want to, in your games, you want to go for the most consistent way to do that. Now, ganking is Graves. Like I say, ganking is not Graves' strong suit. So if you go for these ganks, they're not very consistent. They're not guaranteed. Farming on Graves is very guaranteed, and he's very quick at doing that. So typically, what you'd see Graves players do is, as you've done, you take minions. Amazingly, you manage to get both Scuttle Crabs, so you're already in a very good position in this game. So, it looks like you're going for a Yumu's Ghostblade for a first item, which is probably the best first item on Graves. It's a very good one-item power spike. So you should just be looking right now to get as many camps as possible, cover your laners in case Master Yi comes, and just make sure you're as strong as possible for this first dragon fight. That's the key critical moment. And also one mistake I've noticed, here, you've gone Blue Smite. Now, I think Red Smite is much better on Graves, primarily because Graves is also, quite a good duelist. Red Smite not only gives you true damage on hit, it also reduces the amount of damage you take from the smited target by 20%. So let's say Yi attacks you, right? If Yi comes into your jungle and engages a fight, if he has Red Smite, you've got Blue Smite, I can guarantee that Yi will almost certainly win that fight. So there's just really no point in picking Blue Smite here. Like, it might help your ganking, but again, you want to play your champion to the most optimal way, and Graves is not optimized for jungling, sorry, he's not optimized for ganking as a jungler, so you might as well just play it with strengths, and the strengths are fighting, killing things, doing lots of damage, and you will do more damage with Red Smite. So I can't think of any situation personally where you need to go Blue Smite. So just go for Red Smite. It's a lot better on this champion. Okay, going for a little bit of a skirmish here. Everyone take note of the dragon spawning in 20 seconds. So, we've got 4 people here. This is good. Everyone's preparing. But what you should be doing, really, if you know the dragon's coming up, I haven't seen you check the scoreboard yet. The scoreboard would let you know a dragon's coming up soon, because your job, I'm telling you, your job in this game is to secure that first dragon and make sure you win the fight. So you have to make sure you're making the best possible decisions to guarantee that success happens. Of course, if you can get your first item through farming, that's great. But if you can't, then what you should have done is check that the dragon was going to respawn by checking the scoreboard. It gives you an indication of when the dragon's going to come up. And then you should go back and spend some of your gold, because you have almost 2,000 gold. Once you've taken this, you'll have about 2,100 gold, something like that. All of this is unspent gold. I don't know what this Master Yi is doing, but, if he's been farming efficiently and he's already gone back to base and he's coming down here now, then, he's going to be able to, if he fights you, he's probably going to win, because he's going to have his items, he's going to have spent some gold, and he's going to do more damage. So what you're doing here by not spending your gold is you're just kind of reducing the chances that this first fight is going to go well. Like, imagine, right? Let me just think here. Imagine if instead of going for those 2 ganks in mid lane, you just farmed these camps that were up. Now, you'd be very, very close to your Yumu's Ghostblade. Also, when you see people group like this, you should pan your camera over. We need to be able to see what's going on. You need to know if you can join that fight. Like, what is this? What? Sorry, guys, what is this? You're just walking in a circle. Look. Graves, I know I keep saying this, for Graves you have to be super efficient, right? You spent 10 seconds walking in a circle. I know you're not looking at the map, because your character's locked, your camera is locked on your center. So, maybe you suspected that these guys are in this bush. You could have just threw a smoke screen on there if you wanted to. But, if you're in these situations where you see action going on, you should just pan your camera. That helps your decisions. If I was watching this and I saw this from, the spectator client, I would think that you were, walking around just looking to see what was happening. But as we've seen from your direct gameplay, you're just walking in circles. This isn't really achieving anything. But anyway, let's go. Nami wastes her ultimate, that's good. We know that's not available for the first fight. First blood for Darius. It doesn't really matter, it's in the top side. Trade of kills. Okay, that's good for Nasus, because he probably scales better than Darius does. Okay, they're not going for the dragon fight. Interesting. Well, you got a ward on dragon. That's good. That gives you guys a bit of security. Again, I hope you're not going to go for another gank because, you know, you're going to get the same results. All Akali has to do is press one ability to get out of this gank. Getting the skull crab, that's very good. Allows you to have a lot more dragon priority, a lot more pressure. Yeah, you see, you should be looking at what's going on mid lane now. Like, you could have panned your camera up. Okay. Okay, that's good. You get a kill. You know, you could have responded to that a little bit faster. Like, you could have checked, you could have moved your camera over to check what was happening and see whether you could have found the opportune moment to go in for a gank. This is risky. Oh, this is risky. Okay, so I know if you read or if you watch videos on, you know, things like skillcap.com or like pro guides or these things, they might say something like, if you get a kill on the enemy mid laner, you can force an objective. Now that in a vacuum, that is true, but it's quite a black and white statement. So you get a kill on mid, that's very good. Akali can't join this fight because she's dead. But your mid laner backed. Your mid laner backed. So even though their mid laner is dead and in base / dead, your mid laner is effectively dead because they've gone back to base. So you don't actually have any advantage in this fight. What's more so is, you know, because there's no vision in the enemy jungle here, I mean, they could all be here. And you don't have your team with you directly. You know, Jinx is already here, so you're already kind of, you know, if Yi appears, you're already in a losing position right now. So you had to be very careful. Okay, Yi comes in. I think you can fight this. Okay. Okay. I counted quite a few things that went wrong there. Let me just go back, guys, because I imagine when you played this game, you probably thought that was quite close. Okay, let's break this down a bit. So this all started from here. Okay. Yi is on the minimap, so you can infer that for the next few minutes, Yi has pressure in this area. Yes, you've killed Akali, but your mid laner has also gone back to base. So your mid laner can't join this fight either. So you don't know that there's lots of vision here. There could be lots of vision. You start the dragon by yourself, which is never a good idea unless you know for a fact you can take it. You know you can't take it for a fact because Yi is here, Jinx is here, and we can also assume that the enemy support, Nami, will also be around. Your bot lane is here, your Lux is back in base, so this is immediately a losing position for you. It's good that you're pinging, but you know, like, pinging's one thing. Okay. I'll get back to that in a minute. Pinging is one thing, but the problem is, if your team doesn't join, you can't force these things. It's still too risky. Ping for them to come. If they don't come, don't fight it. Don't force things like this because, you know, you're forced to play here and it's actually ended up worse for you. But there's a few things to break down. Firstly, you're opting into a fight when you have 3,000 gold. 3,000. That's like 10 kills or 9 kills worth of gold. It's a lot of gold, man. We don't know how much of Lee's gold he's actually spent, but if we assume that you and him have the same gold, or around about the same, you know, if he's spent even some of that, he's already stronger than you. So, now let's look at this. He pops his ultimate. Now, this smoke screen is unnecessary at this moment. You see, Yi doesn't have to stand in the smoke screen, right? If you stand here and auto-attack Yi, then that's great, because your smoke screen obviously blocks auto attacks. But the problem is you walk outside of it and so does Yi, basically. So, you know, you're not making good use of your smoke screen here. Yi players are very predictable. Now, if you kept smoke screen here, the way you should think about it is, you should use smoke screen once Master Yi is committed to a fight. Well, how do you know he's committed to a fight? Well, his ultimate is obviously the biggest indication. Yes, he uses his ultimate. That kind of indicates that he wants to fight you, obviously. But most Master Yi players will use their Alpha Strike, and then, you know, once they use that, they're basically locked into that position for a while. You should save your smoke screen until Master Yi has already used Alpha Strike, because then he has no choice but to stick in one position and fight you. And then if he does that, you know, you can kite around this bush, you can walk around, you can use your dash to get out the way and create some space between you and Master Yi. And then you maximize the chance that you're going to win this fight. It's also another thing, like, you use Blue Smite. You use Blue Smite on Master Yi while his ultimate was up. All that will do is damage. It won't actually slow him, because Master Yi is actually immune to slows when his ultimate is on. But if you had Red Smite here, he would have died, which is quite amazing if you think about it, right? So You have 3,000 gold unspent. Even with this unspent gold, you would have won this fight if you had Red Smite, because not only would you do more damage to him, you would have taken 20% less damage, and also if your smokescreen usage was a bit more efficient. You know, you also would have won that fight. Now you might think, why am I putting so much emphasis on this one fight? This single fight, the result of this one fight, decides who takes control of the game, because whoever wins this fight gets the dragon, so you'll not only get a kill, you'll get the Infernal Dragon for all of your team, and then Master Yi can go to the next objective and he'll be stronger, so you have so much more objective pressure if you're the jungler that wins that one fight. So in my opinion right now, if this was me, I'd start to think like this game is already lost. Because I've died, and I'm most likely going to give over Dragon, although the enemy Master Yi just got killed by Nami, which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, generally speaking, in that situation, the game is almost over from your point of view, because you give over the strongest dragon in the game, and you also give over gold to the hyper-scaling hyper-carry of Master Yi. Now let's see what you can do here. Where the hell did that dragon go? Okay, yeah, you can fight this. Smoke screen on the floor now. Okay. I think you could have fought that if you had your smoke screen usage a little bit earlier. And then as soon as you spell Master Yi, you could have ran away. I guess those guys just love trading kills. This time Darius wins out. Okay, so it's not the end of the world. The Infernal Dragon is still up. This is good. While you're fighting this camp, please check the minimap. Please just scan your camera over so you can see what's happening. For all you know, you could see one of the enemy champions waste their ultimate or waste flash, and then it's information that you can use later. I think you could have fought. I think you could have gone in for a fight there. No. Okay, man. You can't keep going for these ultra risky plays. Like, there's just no point. Like right now, your mid laner is mid, shoving out the wave. Your bot lane is here. You know, that's cool. That's cool that they're kind of nearby, but the problem is we don't know where their bot lane is, we don't know where Master Yi is, and we know that Akali is in this area, so we're just going to get a repeat of the last situation, you know. When you're behind like this, and I'm going to say behind because you just lost that fight to Master Yi and your team's also behind in gold, you have to take every opportunity you can to capitalize on enemy mistakes and obviously look for the best opportunities you can to come back into the game. Now, you're not going to come back into the game like this because we don't have full information of where the enemy team is. So what that basically means is that you have to say to yourself, if I fight 4 of the enemy team right now, can I kill them? Well, the answer is no. Like, if you, for example, you saw Master Yi up here, then yeah, you could go for this, because then, you know, it's going to be like it's going to be a 4 versus 3 in favour of you, and they don't have their jungler. But right now, all you're basically doing is saying, okay, guys, let's go for this dragon, let's go for a fight. But chances are you're just going to lose because you lost the last fight, and also you give all of these guys full initiative because they can see what you're doing. There's just no point in forcing like this. Like I say, getting the dragon is very important, but you can't just suicide for it like that. What would have been best to do now, right, is when you have these situations where the dragon is up, you can't really go to this side of the map, because if they start the dragon, you can't get there in time. So one thing I'm looking at here is Lux is pushing in mid lane. You could just go over and help this Lux. You could just go and start taking the tower. If you guys take mid tower first, then you get so much more pressure, because you can walk into the jungle here and start placing wards, place wards here and try and find out where the enemy jungler is. It just gives you guys so much more map pressure. So the best thing to do right now would just be to help this Lux push the wave into tower and maybe get the first tower. That would be what I would be doing. And then you can go back and get your camps, and then, you know, after you've taken this tower and placed in wards, you can try and spot the enemy jungler, and then, you know, if he's not in the side of the map, you can assume he's up here, and then you guys can go for the dragon. I see, so, this isn't your fault, but look, Lux got engaged upon by 2 champions, so if you were helping the Lux here, it's possible that you could have won the fight. So now they might just get mid tower. Yeah, okay, so you pan your camera over, that's good. It's the first time I've seen you do that. You don't need to use your smoke screen there. Okay, if you had one more auto attack, that would have killed them. Let's talk a little bit about mechanics for a moment, guys. Like, I know lots of people might perceive mechanics as just being like a superfluous display of skill. Like, you know, the most like kind of flashy champions that require the highest amount of physical skill to pull off lots of combinations. But mechanics essentially just means like it's just kind of like a physical aspect of your decision making, so to speak. So mechanics isn't necessarily just can I do the most fancy Yasuo combos, can I do the most fancy Akali combos. It's also, am I using my abilities at the most opportune moment? So let's go back here, right? You see that these guys are attacking. Okay, that's good. Now you dash in because you want to get there quickly. You use your smoke screen, but that smoke screen is pointless. It doesn't do anything. So the smoke screen goes here, right? It misses both people and it doesn't do anything. Now, if you waited for Yi to attack you and then dropped your smoke screen here, after he's engaged, remember, once Yi uses his Alpha Strike, he's locked into the fight unless he wants to flash away. So you just try and use your abilities in a more optimal way. Like, this doesn't do anything. You know, just keep it. Keep on to an ability until you see the perfect opportunity to use it. Like, just throwing that out isn't going to do anything. So you come in, Yi runs away, which is the right thing to do. Now you follow Akali, you ignite. Now what you missed out, your auto attack animation was about to come up there. You've got 2 buckshots available, right? There was a situation in which you could have auto attacked and then used your ultimate because you had another auto attack about to tick. So if you did that, you would have died. Like I say, your ultimate's got pretty long range. You don't need to force it like that. You should only use your ultimate if you're not within auto attack range and the guy's going to get away. You could have hit 1 or 2 more auto attacks there quite easily. And also, if you use that smoke screen perhaps more optimally, maybe that gives time for Braum to come and hit the Master Yi, and maybe, you know, I dare say you could have gotten the double kill, and that would have brought you right back into the game. What you need to do now is push this wave and get mid tower. We need to get that first tower. Never mind bot lane. Well, okay. The thing is, I don't know right now whether this fight is worth engaging. You know, getting this mid tower is very, very, very valuable. Getting this fight it might be valuable, but the point is you're not looking. Like, we don't know. Like, you're just walking over. You know, for all you know, this could be a losing fight. Like, they could all be on, like, okay, they're on high health HP here, so that's fine. But, you know, you need to look and see what's happening. You need to look and assess the situation, observe whether you think that if you join this fight, it's actually going to have a positive outcome. Like, 2 situations can happen, right? Or 3. 1 would be the fight is losing. 2 would be the fight is winning. And 3, the fight would be kind of 50-50, and then if you care and the fight's winning. If the fight's losing, don't join. If the fight's winning, don't join. If the fight's 50-50, okay, you can join. But the more consistent thing is to get this tower. So you'll have to look and decide that for yourself. But at the moment, because you're not panning your camera, we don't know what's happening. No, you are. Okay, the fight's winning. Now go. No need to join. Go and pressure this master. No, actually. Okay. Okay, Master Yi kind of yeeted out there a little bit. Let's just see. Master Yi could have killed you there, but also if you kept your E, so your dash for a little bit longer, you also could have killed him. Fair enough. Yeah, going back to the base is the best decision here, because Master Yi could be hiding and you could just put his meditate on. Triforce on Graves, going for the Trinity Force. You know, I don't think that's a bad item, but Trinity Force is a bit expensive. Is Trinity Force good? I mean, if you like it, then fair enough. But don't go Trinity Force unless you're really far ahead, because it's a very expensive item. I think maybe a Death Stance, or maybe even maybe a Black Cleaver, potentially Black Cleaver, or maybe just more lethality items. Actually, maybe you could go for like a full armor penetration lethality build. I think that might be better than going Triforce, because Triforce is very expensive, and you know. If you're behind in any way, then it's a lot of gold to spend on just one item. But it's obviously good if you're ahead. It's a strong item. I don't really see it on Graves very often, but you know, it's okay. Okay, I think you should help Lux here, personally. Like, this is all kind of a bit inefficient. So, the dragon's fine, right? The dragon's not going anywhere. You don't need to fight this now, necessarily. Just look at the map situation. So we have, I don't know who it is, sorry, on the minimap here. Oh, it must be Yasuo. So Yasuo's fighting Akali, but he's on full HP, so you can well, not guarantee, but you can assume that he's probably going to win this fight. Your Lux has been chunked by more than 50%. Master Yi's here. Just go and kill the Master Yi, and then if you fight the dragon after the jungle has already been killed, well, you know, like, there's no way he can smite that. There's no way he can contest this fight because he's dead. So it's more consistent if you go and kill the enemy jungler here and then go and get the dragon. Okay. Okay, well, I'm sure you know what went wrong there. Let's just watch this again, guys. So, Master Yi, you know, you could have just auto-attacked him. You didn't need to throw your Q there. Yeah, very, very slow on the auto-attack. He was one auto-attack away from being stunned by Braum. Master Yi finds a good opportunity to come in. I'm not sure if this Nami has an ardent sensor. If she does, this could be quite scary. Okay, yeah, if you auto-attack that guy there, he would have been stunned and it would have been an easy fight. But it was actually a good punish by the enemy team. But even so, yeah, there's a few things you could have done differently, I think. Like, for example, you know, if you were quicker to go and help Master Yi when there was this fight here, you could, say, not help, go and join the fight to kill Master Yi faster. Then you could have killed him here and just gone and taken the dragon without Master Yi, because as you saw, Master Yi still did quite a lot of work. It's kind of funny, nearly 11 minutes into the game and no one's taken the dragon. Okay, guys, when you see a fight like this, it doesn't matter about taking the red buff, you just have to look and see what's happening, because if this fight goes wrong, you guys, they take dragon. This is a very important fight. Whatever's happening here is very important, so you have to pan your camera over to see what's going on. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, so you need to pan your camera, man. We need to see what's happening here. You can't just walk over and like... Because, you know, if you can see what's happening as soon as possible, all of these things affect your decision making, right? They tell you what's the best opportunity to go into, what angle you should take, etc. I mean, all you've done is walked into the fight without knowing any information about it. We don't know if Jinx has passive. We don't know if there's any flashes or ultimates burned. I mean, we look at here, right? Akali got a kill, but we don't know that he ulted, you know? He could have his ultimate up, he could have a shroud up. If you were watching this fight, you could tell, and all these things factor into your decision making. This the smoke screen does nothing. No, it hits. You put that smoke screen, but everybody ran away. Graves' smoke screen is his most powerful ability, guys. You have to use it efficiently. You know, just keeping on to an ability is good as well, you know, because the enemy team can see that you haven't used an ability, so that affects their decision making. But if you just miss your ability, then it gives them a lot more flexibility into how they want to play out a fight. Darius is doing lots of work. You could go for a steal here, but it'll just put you behind if not, because you don't have flash. Would I have gone for that? Actually, yeah, there was a more efficient way to do this. Watch. You have the blast clone up, so the correct thing to do here is to blast clone in, try and smite steal, and then you can just dash out. You can dash through walls, remember. Obviously you know that, so yeah, so you didn't need to use that dash. You could have used the blast cone in, try and steal, dash out. But if you dash in without flash because you have ignite instead of flash, then you're just, best case scenario you get the steal, worst case scenario they get the dragon and you die. So the worst case scenario happened, although you did get... Sorry, everyone. You did get one kill, which, you know, it's something. But, you know, the issue here is there's a little bit of there is inefficiency in suboptimal play in the way you're choosing to, like, take these fights and the way in which you're, like, you know, the correct ability usage, that kind of thing. I feel like it could be optimized quite a bit. Like, you just have to think to yourself, is this the best possible position for me to use this ability? Particularly with the smoke screen usage, because I haven't seen one smoke screen yet which has actually done anything. So, you know, it's almost as if you're playing Graves with only 3 abilities. I like this. So if this was a higher reload game, the enemy team could just run to Baron very quickly now. So it's good that you're coming up to this side. But somebody, as a rule of thumb, guys, anybody watching this, once Baron is alive, there should always be a ward on Baron to see if anyone's coming for it. At any one time, somebody should go over and ward. Doesn't have to be the jungler, doesn't have to be the support, just somebody needs to place a ward on this Baron. I mean, look right now, right? There's one ward on the map, 2 wards on the map, that's all. Yeah, you don't win this fight. Darius is 1 level up. He's also got a few kills, and he's Darius. What on earth is... Wow, okay. Maybe this Triforce Graves does do a lot of damage. I did not expect that. I think Darius could have played that a bit better. Okay, right. Yeah, this is good. You should be pushing this lane now. This fight around bot lane for your team and their team is just totally pointless because there's no dragon up. So it's like, what are you fighting over, you know? Ah, okay, you should be pushing top lane now, right? So... Never mind what your teammates think, right? When you're playing Graves, you play to carry. You play to be the one that kills things and carries the game on your back because that's the nature of the champion. He's a carry champion. You need to get all the farm you can. Now, that doesn't mean just walk into your lanes and start taking creeps. But what it does mean is when there's gold on the map like this, you have to take it. So we know that your team is having a fight down here. I don't really think it's worth joining. I mean, well, we don't even know because you haven't checked with your camera to see whether it's worth joining. But what we do know is that mid lane has a big wave cashing up here. Top lane has a big wave. All of these waves are going to be worth, you know, almost a kill in gold per wave. So is it even worth going here? Like... Even if you guys win this fight, what are you going to do? Like, you could go and get Baron maybe, but they're going to respawn in time. So this fight here is totally pointless. If you get this wave, you get this wave, and then get this tower, well, that's going to be like a 1,000 gold injection for you right there. That's a lot more than you would get for this fight. So, you know, they named the game as objectives, not kills. So what you should just do is just sit in this lane and push this tower. You don't need to join this fight. It's pointless. Yeah, good, good. So you're seeing this, right? Should still be pushing top lane now, although I suppose since nobody's mid lane, it's also a good idea to do that. This Lux is dead, so it's not as if he's going to miss out on anything. Now look at all that gold, guys. This is what you need to see. Graves is all about the gold. All about the money. I might try out Triforce Graves in a custom game. I kind of feel like, it might have a lot of burst damage, at least in the early and mid game. Yeah, that wasn't going to hit. Okay, mechanical error there. You look right. Graves' first ability, his Q, once it hits a wall, it comes back faster. So you should always use this when it's guaranteed to hit the enemy in 2 strikes. You miss the first shot and you miss the second shot because Master Yi Alpha Strikes. If you use this here and you use your smoke screen, you would hit both abilities. And if you had Red Smite, my god. And if you had Red Smite, this guy would be even easier to fight. You still killed him, but there was a lot of mistakes there. So, you know, this is what I mean, guys. In games like Gold, Silver, Platinum, you know, there's so many of these simple mistakes that you can capitalize on. Because the players you're playing against just don't fully understand the most optimal way to play the game. So you can just take advantage of this by just outplaying people on a decision-making and mechanical basis. It's really simple once you know what you're doing. You should be farming jungle camps here, you know. Like I say, Graves, all about efficiency. Farming jungles, taking objectives, killing champions. Yeah. It's not a good idea to duel Darius. I mean, Graves can fight him, but we know that this Darius has already got lots of kills. I don't have much confidence that he would have won that fight, even if he won the last one. What? Oh my goodness. What? Whoa. What are you doing? Sorry guys, I almost couldn't believe what I was watching there. This is why you need to carry your own games, especially in the lower rating you are, just purely because you can't guarantee, well, you can't rely that your teammates will actually play their job, play their champion correctly, you know? Like once you get to these kind of mid and late game situations, you just increase the chance that your team is going to make a mistake. Yeah, you should have just gone for the mid lane there, because they just get a free inhibitor. The inhibitor's a very important objective. Don't take this fight, please. You're in minions. You will not win this. Like, you know, so you're almost getting 1v1'd by Nami. Why aren't you dead? Why didn't the enemy team just kill you there? Nami didn't use a bubble. Akali didn't use anything. That's pretty strange. But it's fine. Like I say, guys, the people in gold, platinum, anything around this level, people make lots of mechanical errors that you can just capitalize on. You know? Like, people use their abilities at really inefficient points. So all you have to do is play your champion somewhat correctly and you'll just win the game through mechanics alone. Good kill on the Master Yi. This is where Death Stance is quite useful. Gives you a little bit of survivability, and I think it's good on Graves because he's quite a short range champion. That fight wasn't so bad. What's kind of weird is it's 17 minutes into the game and I think only one dragon's been taken and nobody's taken Baron. It's like, it's very slow. Very, very slow. Yeah, these fights, there's not really much to say about these because at this stage of the game, you really have no control over what your teammates can do. So it kind of becomes like a bit of a 50-50 at this stage, you know, it just comes down to which team makes the biggest mistake, which team eventually loses one of the big fights. And it could go to anybody at this stage. You guys could win this, they could win it. But at this stage of the game, you know, it's so hard to control, so hard to have a big influence unless you're mechanically outplaying everybody. So, in this position, I suppose you should just be looking to farm whatever you can. Keep wards on your jungle. Definitely make sure to have a ward on Baron, which nobody has done so far. And then maybe try and look for a Baron steal, or just look for situations where the enemy team is split across the map, and you can take a favourable fight. Okay, this Akali has no idea what he's doing. Akali wasted the ultimate. Good to see. Don't worry about that. Very minor mistake. You can fight this. Yeah, okay. The same with that ultimate, right? You should only use your ultimate when you can't use any other ability. Yeah, don't do this. Baron gives everybody extra damage, by the way, guys. So if the enemy team gets Baron, just no need to fight like that. Like, the Baron's already been taken. Like, all you need to do now is defend your base. But you can't defend your base if you're dead, and you just increase the chances that the enemy team will win the game. You know, because there's less people to defend right now. But like I say, in these late game situations, you know, there's not really a great deal of things that, you know, the decision making at this stage isn't really that important. You should always be thinking about your early game decision making, because that's where you have the most influence, and that's where you can make the biggest impact, and kind of decide how the flow of the game goes from there. Like, in the late game, it's like you might win, you might lose, but it just depends on who makes the biggest mistake. Right now, I'd probably say the enemy team's going to win, because I feel like their team comp is just a bit simpler. Master Yi, you know, just runs at people and kills them. Very, very simple. Even this Master Yi, who just did a crazy decision like that, is still probably going to win the game, because, you know, it's just the nature of the champion. Yeah, you don't win this. Those super minions with the Baron buff do a lot of damage. So then, this is the last swan song. The ship is finally sinking. Just go all in and see what you can do. Oh well, it was a good effort. Okay, The reason why this game was lost is mainly from the early game, mate. So let's go back and review some things quickly. So like I say with Graves, we'll just watch some of these earlier moments again. So with Graves, you really want to be as efficient as possible with your early game decision making. Like I say, when you go for this gank here, it's really unnecessary. There's no way you can kill this Akali, and Graves, you don't really want to be ganking with Graves. Your whole decision making process should be, in the early game, I need to farm as much as possible and take the highest percentage players with regards to achieving the maximum amount of gold with the least amount of risk. That's what you've got to think. And since the Infernal Dragon is the first dragon here, this only massively amplifies the importance of this particular strategy. So you shouldn't be looking to gank, you should just be looking to counter gank. That's all. Farm where possible, make sure that you have as much gold as possible for this first dragon fight, and also make sure you spend your gold, and of course get red smite, very important here. But like I say, your game plan with Graves, remember, farm early, be efficient, always optimize your pathing route such that you're never at any one moment in time you're always doing something. So like right now you're going to get the scuttle crab, you know, or you're getting your blue buff. You want to be essentially maximizing the amount of time where you're essentially doing the things you need to do to achieve as much gold as possible. That's your decision making with Graves. And then if you're doing this properly, you know, you'll enter the first dragon fight, you'll have lots of, you know, you'll have a big gold advantage over the enemy, especially at this rating. Of course, you can just press your, you can press the scoreboard to see how much gold you have. And yeah, that's basically that. So that might not be particularly coherent, but yeah, just to give you an overview of your game plan. Your game plan on Graves should be farm as efficiently as possible. If your lanes are getting ganked, try and match gank, so try and match where the enemy jungler goes, just to make sure your lanes don't get too far behind. Always try and make sure you can path, as in go through the jungle camps in the most efficient route possible, and make sure that you have you put yourself in the best position you can to contest this early first dragon and actually, you know, take control of the game. And then from there, once you get a lead, it's very easy for you to pressure his Graves because you farm even faster, and of course you can just start dueling people. So for the main points, yes, focus more on farming, especially with Graves, you know. Enter the first dragon fight with as much gold as possible. Make sure you can work a little bit on your smokescreen usage and go with red smite. That's what I would fundamentally say with you. But of course, when you're reviewing your own games, just say to yourself, is this the most optimal way I could have played this decision? Like, the moment you died to Yi in that 1v1, let's see if we can find it again. Where was it? So there's a jungle fight, and then... Is this it? I think this is it, wasn't it? I'll go back to this upload that you gave me. Yeah, so this is the fight, in my opinion, that lost the game. Like, this is the point. This is the fight in which the control of the game went out of your hands and went into the enemy's hands. So, like I say, if you had your item, if you had your red smite, and you played your smokescreen a little bit better, you could have won that fight, and then you guys could have pressured Dragon. This is a situation in which you lose control of the game. That's the way you've got to think. And if you're in high elo, if you're in a higher elo, this would be punished a lot harder and a lot faster. So, yeah, you just got to think, in the first 5 minutes of the game, the first 7 minutes of the game, just try and make the decisions which maximize your chance of having the best possible impact. And with Graves, like I keep saying, your aim is to farm, get gold, get kills where possible, don't force ganks, get the early dragon, and then just take objectives and just run over the game because your champion is just an absolute beast in fights. So yeah, that's that, mate. I mean, not too bad of a gameplay. There's a lot of things to work on. Like I say, I'm sure I've given you lots of lots of content to go through in this video. So yeah, if you need anything else, by all means, just message me on Reddit or YouTube or whatever, and I'll be happy to help out. So yeah, good luck, man. Enjoy.